Meeting is being recorded.
Okay, we can get started. This is CDS UI session, November 26th.
Okay, so I will tell you what we understand and what are the questions that we have. First, we will have the template file, which has the parameter keys and the values. Okay, and when the user upload or enter this template file, we can load the configuration. So we can create the configuration table, which has the parameter key as a label, and then we have the dictionary name and the dictionary source. The dictionary name is the parameter value related to this key.
That's correct.
Yes, and using the dictionary name, we search in the data dictionary to get the dictionary source. Either it's another system or an input.
That's correct. And the main point is that it's a separate file that contains the mapping, right, for that template pair.
Yes, and we use the table to generate the mapping file.
To manage the mapping file, yes.
Okay, so the dictionary sources can be input or can be other capabilities.
That's correct.
Okay, and if the dictionary source is input, this means it will be a part of the package. We will read it from the package itself.
If it's input, that means it will be provided as input as part of the payload from the client.
Payload from the client, okay. And if it's another system, then we have something called the capability configuration, as I say, to configure this capability, or what?
I mean, if it's another system, that means the backend will call the other system as part of the runtime execution.
Okay, and we insert some configuration for this system. I think we saw something like this in the screen.
There is a something called external system definition, where you can specify where you can on the fly sometimes add application properties for that external system. But usually all the data dictionary mappings, they will be defined, and the application properties for those systems will be contained within the application property definition.
Okay.
Do you want me to show you this, Ahmed?
Yes, please.
1 minute. I'll share my screen. Okay, so if you look at, let's say, microservices, blueprint processor, applications, where is it? Resources. There's application properties, okay? These application properties, for example, they have things like processor DB type. They have gRPC remote Python type, REST client, SDNC. You see this SDNC AI data, right? These are the capabilities yes. We're using, and these are the app. You know, for those capabilities, we are basically having application properties define the how to access these properties.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but from your perspective, you don't care about that. The only thing you want to allow is just the management of this file, which is the property that is and the data dictionary source that is being mapped to, and what is the source instance they're using, because this dictionary cloud environment can have multiple capabilities, and you need to allow the users to select the instance.
Select the instance?
The instance of the source, right? So if I go back to data dictionary definition, 1 minute, VTNS, let's say. I'll open the Alto version. Okay, so you see, let's say this cloud env, let's say. Okay, you see cloud env, right? If you look at sources, sources include input, default, SDNC, right?
Yes.
You might have another property. Let's say this one, create MDSAL VNF params. That one has sources of SDNC, source of AI data. Okay, it does not have input and default. So whatever the backend tell you is the sources for this dictionary attribute is, that's what you're gonna allow the users to select from the dropdown.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the management of these attributes to the dictionary itself.
Okay. Okay, that's clear.
Okay.
Yes.
The main point is that there's two ways this can be done. You can provide a template, and that template has dynamic properties, and you need to extract those dynamic properties and put it in this tabular format for the user to auto map and create a mapping file for this template. Or the other use case we want to support is that we want to allow the users, so without the template mappings, but provide a file with dynamic properties that can be loaded into this tabular format and can be auto mapped to data dictionary. So you can have a mapping without a template. Or the other use case you can have is that you are providing the mapping and the template together.
Mm-hmm.
Those three use cases, I think we want to be able to handle itself. So I'll say, so use case one is template and mapping management only, and
Okay.
support template and mapping. Those are the use cases, three use cases I would say we have.
Yes. Okay. So about the mapping management, if the user select a dictionary source, okay, and this dictionary source has other dependencies. So that's why we needed the diagram in the presentation. We need the diagram. Yes, this one. So if the user has the first parameter, which is SDNC source. So in the SDNC source, we have, for example, VNF ID. So shall the table have the VNF ID?
The table will have VNF ID, absolutely.
So this will be added by the application, while it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the template.
If it doesn't exist, we can automatically add it and map it and do the mapping, because otherwise this breaks, right? If this thing doesn't exist, right, this dependency breaks.
Yes.
That's what we want to show the users, is that in this type of diagram, we want to say that, all your capability, because what could happen, maybe your data dictionary doesn't have VNF ID, somebody forgot to add it, right?
Yes. Yes.
This would break. So what you want to tell the user is that all of these dependencies are accounted for, as long as these things are resolved based on the input or what do you call it, capability resolution itself, right?
Okay.
Like a validation of the design is not corrupted. It's a valid design, and then runtime would execute it and fulfill the design.
Okay.
But the main point I wanted to say, this thing is only applicable for mapping files, not applicable to templates. So in here, you can see that templates and mappings were one screen. If we need to decouple them and kind of manage it in separate screens, that also is okay. So that's the part, we need. I wanted to get your opinion. Should we couple it in one screen, or should we decouple this and say first load your context, and then next, manage your mapping? Okay. Just one more thing I wanted to present is that Velocity and Ginger are a little bit different. You see how we have load config parameters? Velocity, it's dollar, open and close brackets, right? And the variable name.
Yes.
Ginger, it's not dollar, it's something else. Let me see if I can find an example. Let me see, Ginger templates. Okay, so you can see Ginger is it's a .ginger file, and Ginger is like open and close brackets. It's a little bit different. About Ansible maybe here. Scripts, templates, and don't see it here. Templates. Okay, where is it? Yeah, so my main point is your load config params will be slightly different because Ginger and VTLs are not 100% the same. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
But the mapping of Ginger variables and velocity variables will be the same.
Okay.
The mapping management is the same, but the how you extract
How to read the variables.
Yeah, it's slightly different.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the main thing I wanted to say. Okay, does this help?
For me, yes. Sarah, you have any points?
Okay, I just wanted to refine the points I got here from the interface. We have three options. One, to have the user can upload a file or just copy and paste the code to the editor above, whether it VTL or Ginger, and just loading the parameters Okay, and then auto mapping, which will add the data to the table below. Okay, that's the first option. The other one, the user can just enter the data to the table directly and auto mapping. Okay.
So the second option is that the user will provide you like either, I think it should be like a list of comma delimited attributes, and then that will load it into the panel, and then you can manage your data dictionary and sources through that panel.
Sorry, really, the other option is what?
So what I'm trying to say is that, hold on 1 second. If I go back here, right now you can see this load config parameters. What it does, it extracts the variables, right?
Yes.
If you don't have this template and but you only have a mapping only, then the user should provide a mapping, provide a file that has all the parameters. It could be a file that is comma delimited. Okay. That comma delimited, we will load all those unique parameters into a panel and then allow them to do the auto mapping section. So instead of load config parameters, it's going to be import config parameters.
Okay. And the third option?
The third option is the user has a template and a mapping. So it's basically they should import both of those things, and there's not, the only thing we can do is just as part of the mapping, if they enter the screen, we should validate that mapping is valid and there's no no breakages, I guess. We'll provide this graphic and say that it's valid. They can view that information. So the idea here is that allow the import of template and mappings, right? Because they have something already.
Okay.
I want to even say that in here, what we're doing is we're import a template, right? And then we're providing a mapping management, right? And here it's import template and import mapping. Sarah, is this clear, or do I need to add anything else on these 3 points?
Okay, no, sir.
Okay, Ahmed, there's one thing I wanted to ask you. You know, like the example I give you here, you see is it starts with VPG and package private IP source, right?
Yes.
But when you build this graph on the GUI, are you gonna start with basically all the entry points that have no dependencies, right? And entry points that are needed in order to then you know, it's basically the opposite, right? You start with service instance ID, VNF ID as input, as entry, and then you build out to like these result resources. I believe it's going to be backwards if I'm not mistaken.
You mean in the diagram?
Yeah, the diagram is going to be like.
Yes. But actually, what we have in the template is the VBG int package generator. Package generator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I'll say that the graph is maybe not the critical priority right now. The critical priority is to provide, I would say, this tabular form for management. Okay.
Yes.
That's the critical aspect, and then we can do the graph after that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on this topic?
For the mapping, think no. We have some other questions in the package creation. If we have time to ask you now.
Yeah, we'll have time. Just one more thing I wanted to say. We talked about template section, right?
Yes.
Template section has imported mappings and templates. One thing I want to make sure is that there's a script section as well that allows the users just to import scripts. So scripts like Python, Kotlin, Ansible playbooks. I don't think that's covered right now in the design.
So does this mean that the import section currently will be for the definitions only, and the scripts need to have another section?
I believe so. That's correct.
Okay. I think it will be the same, but it will be in just placed in another folder.
Yes, because it's if you look at the current structure, you have template, scripts, plans, definitions, right? And the import section that we talked about is part of actually definitions. Scripts is its own folder, and I think templates should be its own folder as well. And then everything else is part of definition.
Okay. So it will be okay. For scripts, we will have we can have an import, and we can have an editor to review this code, just like we did in the imports. But it will save in this folder. It will be scripts, and when we generate the package, it will be saved in a separate the scripts folder.
It's saved in the scripts folder. That's correct. But
yes.
The only thing you will have to also do is once it's in scripts folder, you have to reference the components to access the script, right? Meaning that if you go here, scripts in this folder doesn't mean anything, right?
Yes.
There has to be some sort of reference to it.
Yes.
In the component itself. So the component will support a scripting capability.
But this is part of the designer, the attributes in the designer.
The designer, yes. All I'm saying is that when once we have a component that supports scripts,
yes.
When they do, when we have to, as part of the binding, right? We just need to
yes.
make sure that we bind the scripts to the scripts that we have in our folders. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Okay. So take on the next questions.
Yes. Sarah, can you share the slide, please? In the create package, we added a new field, which is the entry definition URL, to add the entry definition file. Okay. So here we have the entry definition to have the entry definition file. My question is the entry definition in the creation. The entry definition, I think it should be created from all the steps that we have, especially in the designer, because it contains imports, it contains DSL definitions, it contains metadata. This part of the configuration page, and it contains the resource mapping and workflow, which are part of the designer. So if we are going to generate this file based on the designer and the configuration pages, why the user enter this file?
So the only thing is there's two entry types, right? There's Kotlin and there's JSON. If it's JSON, then you don't support designer mode, you only support editor mode.
Yes.
Okay, so we had this to kind of express the selection. I want to say if it's going to be a type of a JSON where everything needs to then support designer mode, or it'll be Kotlin, where then everything else will be like editor, because the experience is going to be two different types of experiences.
Okay, so can we have it like it's a flag or a radio button to select if it is a Kotlin package or it's a JSON package, and Kotlin based package or JSON based package. And if he select Kotlin package, then he can enter he can see the entry definition and he can add it. But if it is JSON based package, he shouldn't see the entry definition line. He cannot enter the JSON file.
I don't want to say it's JSON or Kotlin. We can do like the option you're describing, but it should be expressed with something else, like designer or maybe like some developer, something else. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But I agree with what you're saying. One other thing I want to say, the mapping that you have, can you click on mapping? That mapping itself, what we can also do is add it into metadata itself. I don't think we need a separate one. That was the other thing I was to mention actually last time, Sarah. The auto mapping dictionary, you can make it part of metadata. Instead of calling it auto mapping dictionary, call it a dictionary library. Sarah, you might be on mute if you're speaking.
I'm just writing down the points.
Okay.
So instead of selecting the dictionary, I'll type it like selecting the auto mapping.
What I'm trying to say is that instead, don't consolidate the mapping into metadata. Okay. In metadata, let's have a field called dictionary library instance. And I think that should be good enough.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll give them a library or a a text field to enter that information.
They can be more than the ATT and OpenConfig.
Yes, it should be more, but that implementation is not there yet. So right now, I want to say that we will support like an ONAP based starter types by default, and later on we can create maybe something for a library for maybe just VPKG or BTNS use case and kind of showcase this capability. Something, but it requires some backend implementation that I think Brenda is working on.
Okay.
Okay, but what I'm trying to kind of simplify this by consolidating metadata and mappings. We don't need a mapping section.
Okay. Actually, I've made the change to the creation and add the description. We discussed yesterday about adding the description.
Yeah.
This is the input, and this is how it's gonna be on the packages. As you can see here, I've added the description below the modification date.
And the question is the description, if they hover, they can see the full description?
It depends whether you want it to be hovered or just he can see all the details inside the view screens.
So what we want is that you give only maybe the first sentence, first few characters.
Yes. Just one line. Okay, just one line. But are we limiting the description to kind of characters or just an open description?
I think it's like 255 characters today.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that it's going to be limited to a number of characters, and if they hover, you can display the entire description.
Okay.
Okay, I think who do we have? Danny, that will take care of your need, right?
I think it'd be sufficient. Yeah.
All right, very good.
Okay. Another thing, let me see it. The adding a custom metadata of we can delete it after adding it, or that option is valid or not?
It's valid, but you need to. So once you add a custom data, oh, you want to delete it as well? Yeah, it's valid. That's fine.
Okay.
But if you delete it, okay, yeah, it's valid. It's valid.
Okay. I've made some changes to the import screen. I will show it as in collapsed panel, so the user won't have to see the details on the view of the file in another model screen. So
Okay,
it will be in toggle view right here, and you can show the file and preview the file below it, below the line of this file.
very good.
Okay. Another thing is the DSL view is changed now. So we have here a list of the properties that user can select and add to the whole properties in the right side in here. But it will be selecting, not drag and drop. I don't know if it's valid to drag and drop the code to the editor.
They should be able to drag and drop and then update that instance value. One thing I want to say, Sarah, when they drag and drop, can we, instead of displaying this JSON, create a form based on that type, URL, and token, and let them populate the type and URL and token as string, as checkbox?
I'm sorry?
What should we just create a form out of that context? What type, URL, and token?
What type of form? Just
Uh,
a value, a name and a value?
yeah.
So it will, we will extract the data that we got from the properties.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So we will
Maybe
have.
now it's okay like this, but we want to get to
It's
a
valid.
form.
It's valid. But I'm thinking about the view, and so once he drag and drop a property, a form with inputs that contains each
Right,
name
it's the same form. Like if you go to the designer mode, you know how we have component attributes and it will be the same form, and workflow attributes. It's
So as an
basically that
input,
form.
so as an input, and user can edit and modify the content.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because initially it will be like type is null, URL is null, token is null, all of that information they have to provide as input. And then what I would like is the same type of experience as they support component attribute or workflow attribute. So even if they want to go to this type of view, that is supported based on the sources, right? That we have as an option.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
If they want to see a JSON view, then they can click on source view. The source view will give them the JSON
Okay.
view.
So we'll mix between the form view and the source view.
Yes. So this way your design is consistent across all the different functionality within the UI.
Okay.
It should be like a reusable component. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Have we discussed the developer view yesterday? This one?
No, we did not.
Okay. But first, let me show you how the details and the metadata of the package will appear in the designer view. Here we have in the header, we have next to the package name, we have an icon for the installation. And once the user click on that icon or the name, we will have this model that contains all this necessary information.
But this is what type of view is this? This is just the designer view, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the view how to access the package metadata and details.
Okay.
Okay.
One point here, sorry, Sarah.
Okay. Yes.
The username and email and agreed. We will leave it now because we don't have authentication. So,
Okay.
Yuri,
Yes.
in the package creation, we don't have fields to enter the username and email because Sarah was assuming that we will have authentication later on, so the username, the creator can be added implicitly. But since we don't have it, we don't have authentication right now, we will leave the author name and email till we have this feature.
Yeah, that's okay. We're supposed to get it for Frankfurt. You're talking about like the AAF integration, right?
Yes, yes.
So the AF, we're waiting for the namespace creation. Today we have a AF integration. It's with I think it's with like a dummy token. Okay, it's not a dynamic token. So there is a AF integration today that we have, but
And it will cover the UI as well.
It's done for the UI actually.
Done for the UI. Okay.
Yeah, we have AF integration for the UI. That's why we support HTTPS. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to support HTTPS.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that there's some enhancements that are happening, are supposed to be done. I need to follow up and get back to you where we are with that. So I'll take that as an action item.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. That's a developer stream. Okay. That's a tree list of the files, and once he just selecting one from the list, the data will appear in this editor.
Okay, and all the capabilities like save, metadata, like we had little save on top.
Yeah, we still have the. Let me show.
Save.
Yeah, it's here.
Little save. Yeah.
It's the same view like the designer, but with the tree here, and of course this is accessible also from the designer screen.
Right.
Okay, for just JSON file.
Okay, and also the buttons. Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
We need to make sure we also add the same functionalities of enrich and save and
They are here. They are here.
Oh yeah, but I don't see enrich. I think you need to add an explicit enrich because it's no longer a designer, so we need something that says enrich explicitly.
So the enrichment is only on the developer mode?
Yes.
It's explicitly in the developer mode and implicitly in the designer.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Another thing about the template mapping. Is that a step in the package creation?
Template and mappings.
Yes. in which step we have it? After the configuration and before the moving to the designer?
No, I want to say it's before the whole configuration that the user adds their template and mappings and scripts, and then they move to configuration.
Okay, so before he created the package, he should create the template and mapping.
He should import that information, yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to get Danny wanted to get some of your feedback. When as part of like the package creation, you guys your process today, do you first create your templates, import your templates, then import your mapping files, import your scripts, then you're gonna kind of associate the actions and your functions to those template files and script files? Does that process make sense to you? Do you have any questions on it?
I think Carrie can answer that better, but from what I understand, the import happens up front, yes. But Carrie can correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
Carrie's still on the line.
Yes, I'm here. Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, it's correct because as a user will be inputs the data upfront.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So then we are in sync with that understanding, Sarah.
Yes, you did.
So anything else, Sarah?
Okay. Let me check the whole screen.
The DCL definition, Sarah, I think we had a question about it.
The DSL?
Yes.
Okay. So it's here. Okay, what question?
When we add, sorry, Yuri, when we add a new definition, we will just add the one element of definition. For example, IBAM-1. Okay, so when it is added, can we edit in the same file here, or we need to? Can we edit in this file, or we need to add? Or we need to open a new pop-up and edit it. Also, can we remove the DCL definition?
No, you can do everything here. You don't need to. You can do it in either designer mode or editor mode, right? We covered this. Sarah's gonna make this design similar to what we do with component attributes and workflow attributes.
Okay.
Okay, so that IPAM1 is not really the instance. Okay, this instance is the base URL authentication. Okay, you will name it as IPAM1 or some other application properties that you want. Okay,
yeah.
And then you need to tie that IPAM1 this as a selector in your data dictionary.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a two-step process. Just keep that in mind. This is only needed if you want to do something on the fly that is needed right away. Otherwise, you can just update application properties with this new property, and you don't need to onboard a DSL this way. Okay.
Okay. So
there's a specific use case when this is needed.
Okay. So, for example, what about the resolution key and get input? It is not part of the application properties.
This doesn't need to be part of application. This is just a sample that was there, but it is, that definition itself is part of the definition of the package. It will be part of the component attribute itself. Okay, it doesn't need to be here.
Yes. Okay. So here we will just configure the capabilities that are in the application properties on the fly.
Right, for gRPC, for basic authentication or SSL authentication, all those external system authentication properties.
Okay.
But only if you need something on the fly. Otherwise, you can just do it in the application properties in where I showed you, right? In the CCA CDS application properties for Blueprint processor and in OOM as well.
Okay.
Okay. Any other topics, Ahmed, Sarah?
No, it's okay.
It's okay for me. Okay, actually, that's at one point I wanted to clarify that it's only 2 days left to leave the project. So I should have edited the notes that we have today, and if there are anything else that is remaining to the screen and the experience of the application, please check the prototype that I've shared with you to get to get any notes about it, and even if the scenario is not matching your the real world you have in your application, so the other designer can implement the changes after me leaving the project.
Absolutely. So one thing, Sarah, can we have like a handoff with the maybe a call on just a handoff on Thursday or Sunday? That'd be okay.
Actually, on Sunday, I will move to the other project.
Okay. So is it okay if we have the handoff on Thursday?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so I'll just set up a follow-up call to see where we are, and then we can have the handoff itself. And can you remind me again what was the new person's name?
Shady for the UI development. And if there is a need for changing the design, we will have another member of my team.
So, Yuri, if you have the changes in the design, we will see it. You can talk to me and to Shadi, and if it is something minor, Shadi can do it. If it is something that needs change in the design, we will ask another designer to do it. So,
Okay. So Ahmed, what do you have time to sync up on Sunday to see where we are?
yes.
So let me set up a sync up on Sunday with you, myself, and Abdul.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
But can we make it somehow early?
What time?
It's 9:30 at your time now.
Yes.
Can we make it 8 or 8:30?
Yeah, 8 o'clock is fine.
Okay.
I'll set it up for 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll have a follow transition on Thursday. For the Thursday call, is it okay if we have that, I guess 8:30?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, all right, perfect. 8:30 to 9. All right, I will send that out. All right, let me stop the recording. I will go ahead and send out the recording as well. Thank you very much, team. Thanks for joining. And Sarah, thank you for all the great work you have done, and your full contribution to the project has been amazing. Thank you very much, and thanks for your support, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Arunati, as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Till in a few minutes. Bye bye.